Good and happy Monday morning if you're on the West Coast, afternoon if you're on the East Coast. Either way, you're in this great country that we call America. And welcome to another edition of Mindset Monday. Now, at some point, Justin and I will probably figure out a really cool intro. We'll find some dude with a really deep voice, some like really trendy music in the background, almost like walkout music. Maybe like Joe Rogan. Who knows? Who knows? Um, but we'll make it sound really cool. Anyway, if you are here live with us, go ahead and drop your name, your business name in the chat so we can shout you out. We'd love to shout you out. We got handy hands saying Happy Mindset Monday, everyone. Sonox Construction out of San Antonio, Texas. Welcome. We got Chad Cranfield Construction. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Again, drop it in the chat. We'd love to shout you out. We love when you guys are here participating with us and sharing in this beautiful day. Today, I want to share a little bit of the fun that I had this weekend. How many of you guys are familiar with the game of rugby? Now, rugby's not super big here in the great country of the United States. Martise Dunlap, Rod Build Construction, welcome. We got Key West Remodeling out of Orlando. Ryan, welcome. John Gibson, out of Pocatello, Idaho. Pocatello, John, I've been there. In fact, my sister lives in Rexburg, so driven through there. In fact, I'll be driving through there on Thursday to visit with a client up in Idaho Falls. So give you a couple little honks, meet as I'm passing through. But this weekend, my boys and I, my son who's 22 and my son who's 18, we went to go watch rugby. Now, if you're familiar with American football, it's nothing like rugby. If you're familiar with soccer, it's nothing like rugby. You're learning new names. You're learning new rules. The ball's shaped kind of funky, halfway between a soccer ball and a football. There's 15 guys on each team on the field. So you got 30 dudes running around. I mean, it's a little crazy, but I'll tell you, it was one hell of a time. Now, do I understand everything that's happening there? No, I do not. But that's besides the point. We had a great time. But we're sitting at the stadium and it was a beautiful day in the afternoon, sun's shining. These guys, it was the Utah Warriors versus the Chicago Hounds. And we're watching some of these dudes, which by the way, their legs are like freaking tree trunks. They look like my chest area is one of their legs. So I won't be getting on that field anytime soon. But we're watching these guys go at it. There's a lot of collisions and hits and, sweating and all kinds of fun stuff. And for a second, I kind of took a step back and I started to look around, right? And just observe what was going on. Here we were in the stadium. They had the vendor set up. They had the merch set up. They had the announcer in the box, but then they also had a field announcer, which made it super cool. This guy was a Polynesian guy, great guy, getting the crowd involved and whatnot. But I was looking at this and saying, this is a business, right? This rugby team in this rugby league is a business. And it was really interesting to see how they were running the business. Everything from, the lady in the parking lot to the guy, scanning your tickets, all the way to the 2 feet of popcorn that we ended up munching on together. Everything was part of this business, right? And business has value. But it has more value when a couple of things are in place. And the reason I was thinking about this is because on Friday, I had a conversation with a gentleman who works with a private equity group. Now, if you're not familiar with private equity, that's the people who have a whole lot of money that are buying things that make them more money. Easiest way to think of private equity, right? And they want to invest in things that will make them more money. Real quick shout out to Michael Babbitt, BMF Services, and then the Workman Home Solutions LLC. Welcome as well. Again, private equity wants to invest money in businesses to make more money, right? So I was thinking about this entity, the Utah Warriors. They have a brand, right? They have marketing and advertising. They have a product that they put on the field, right? It was entertaining. And I was like, they do a really good job of promoting this business, right? And at some point, if the owner wants to sell, he could sell. I don't know what the multiple is in the rugby space, but he could sell for a decent amount of money, right? He's put himself in an area that people like, sports, right? In a new emerging sport, rugby, right? Where there's a very passionate fan base. As I was driving home, I was thinking about the last NFL team that sold. Now, if you know this, go ahead and chime in. But for most of you that don't, it was the Washington Commanders, AKA the Redskins. They sold last year for $6 billion. That's billion with a B, my friends. $6 billion. Do you know the last time that the Redskins won the Super Bowl? The year was 1992. And I'm going to date myself. I was a freshman in high school. So 1992 was the last time that the Washington Commanders won the Super Bowl. So they've been losing for 30 plus years. And yet they sold for $6 billion. Why did they sell for $6 billion? Right? Now, groups like the NFL, the NBA, the NHL, right? They've created a brand and an identity that in and of itself is valuable. And there's limited spots to be part of that brand or that identity. So they're able to sell for a higher price. Now, if you're familiar with the Washington Commanders, you will also be familiar with the fact that they had an owner, Dan Snyder, who was nothing short of an idiot, right? There were sexual harassment allegations. There were all kinds of different issues and problems, workplace problems and issues happening inside of that organization. And again, they still sold for $6 billion, right? So it got me thinking, if you're a business owner, why is it that you're not thinking like a business owner should? Now, stay with me here. It's going to take a second. Real quick, Jonathan with J&J Project Innovation from Indy. Welcome to the show. Stay with me here for a second. Okay. If you're a business owner, you want to think like a business owner. Now, when you start in business, what do you think about? You think about the next lead that will lead to the next job, right? And then you get stuck in that cycle of lead job until finally you break open of that, start hiring people, you get a marketing plan in place, and now you start to kind of function like a business, right? But you're still not thinking of your business the way that a business owner should think of their business. Because here's the truth. At some point in your life, you are going to exit, i.e. sell your business. Now, it could be when you pass away. It happens, okay? It could be when you transfer the business over to your kids. It could be when you transfer the business over to your employees. It could be when you sell to an individual or you sell to an investment group, a private equity group, right? But at some point, you're going to exit your business. If you have not thought about that yet, congratulations. Welcome to the game. The business is not going to be yours forever, okay? So if you know inside of your head that eventually you're going to sell the business, what should you be thinking about now? Most contractors don't actually ever sell their business. In fact, 80% of contractors are out of business in the first 5 years. It's because they don't know how to run a business. But most of them, again, don't have that understanding of this is not a job. It's not a just over broke. It's not a job. This is an opportunity for you to create wealth. How do we create wealth? We create something that has value in the eyes of someone else. Okay? I know we're going a little deep here, but I want you guys to understand this concept because it's going to shift the way that you approach things. Okay? Again, I've had multiple conversations with private equity individuals and groups. In fact, with Justin and I, we're going to come up with a little program here that's going to be beneficial for you guys in the long run. But I want you to start thinking this way, okay? So in this conversation, Fernando's his name, the gentleman I was talking to on Friday. We're building out a program for contractors who are looking to sell in the next 18 to 24 months, right? And during this 2-hour conversation that we had, we're going back and forth. And he's asking me what I see in the field and with the contractors I work with in the industry. And I'm asking him, from his perspective, what he's looking for. And we settled on 4 things. There's really 4 main categories that if you're looking to sell your business, you need to be paying attention to. And I'm going to share those categories with you here in a second. But before I do want to ask a question, okay? We've talked a little bit about the exit and why you should be focused and interested in the exit, okay? What is it, or I should say, why did you start your contracting business to begin with? Why did you start it? You might have been working for someone else and said, I'm fed up and I'm going to start doing it on my own. By the way, if you got an answer for this question, please drop it in the chat. We love a lot of interaction inside of this conversation. So why did you start your contracting business? Okay. Was it because you were working for someone else and you got fed up? Was it because, you went to school for it and you decided that you wanted to do this? Was it because you wanted to make more money? Was it because you wanted to spend more time with your kids? What is the reason that you started your contracting business? Now, I'll tell you, there's no wrong reason. Whether it was money or family or sick and tired, whatever the reason was, there's no wrong reason. But all of the reasons lead to one singular answer. You started your contracting business because you wanted freedom. You wanted the freedom to live the life that you want to live. And that life could include more time with your family. It could include vacations. It could include, 40-acre ranch in the woods. It could include any of a number of things, but it's the freedom that you want. Okay. So if we're after freedom, we have to have that exit in mind. We have to have an understanding that the business was not created for us to be busier. It was not created for us to work more hours than we did when we were a W-2 employee. It was created for us to have freedom. Okay. And so that's what we're after. Now, if we're after freedom, we have to start looking and treating our business differently. Okay. So we're thinking and we're talking about an exit. Now, I'm curious how many of you have ever thought about the exit, right? Selling your business. How many of you guys have actually thought about this, contemplated it, put some time and some effort into it? Okay. Have you? Have you not? Go ahead and drop it in the chat. Real quick, John says there was a need in the area for an additional high-end contractor. Rather than buy my old boss out, I went out on my own and we've worked together through that. Both companies have, and I'm trying to see the rest of this. I'm going to guess both companies have grown. But here's the point, John, right? You started it. Yes, there was a need, but underneath it, again, there was that desire for that freedom. Okay. And that's what you're after. So appreciate you sharing that. Now, if you haven't thought about the exit, cool. Here's your opportunity. We're going to give you the opportunity to have that conversation right now, to think about this thing. And I'm going to give you, again, this is a gentleman who's worked in private equity for 20 plus years. These 4 things that you're going to need to pay attention to. Real quick, Chad said he lost his job, built up my part-time handyman business into a full construction business. Haven't thought about selling, but probably need to in the near future. Telling you, Chad, I'm going to give you the things you need to start thinking about today. Again, when was Rome built? Well, it wasn't built in a day, right? It took time. And so these pieces that I'm going to give you, it's not something you're going to be able to implement overnight. But if you start thinking about it now, you can start to implement it piece by piece by piece. And it might be over a few years. That's okay. I know that most of you guys are not ready to sell yet, and that's okay. But I do want you to start thinking that way. Okay. So the first thing that private equity looks for is something or some version of what we call an operating system. Now, we're not here to debate whether you like Mac or PC. I'm a Mac guy. My wife converted me. But Mac and PC, they're both computers, right? And computers run on an operating system. What is an operating system? Well, very simple. When you turn on your computer, what does it do? It goes through the same steps every single time, right? It checks for this, it checks for that. It opens this screen, it opens this program. The same every single time. Every app that you have, either on your phone or your computer, when you open it up, it does the same thing for you every single time. The reason that you're here, Contractor Plus functions like an operating system. It helps you do the same thing every single time. Okay. So the first thing that private equity is looking for is a business operating system. Now, what do we mean by business operating system? Well, if we're after the thing that we do being done the same every single time, then that's what we're talking about. I'll give you a perfect example. If right now I was to ask you, tell me what your marketing plan is. Some of you guys would say Facebook. Some of you guys would say Google. Some of you guys would say Facebook ads. Okay. That's not a marketing plan. Okay. The plan is very detailed. Who's my ITA, my ideal target audience? How am I targeting them? What am I targeting them with? What does my retargeting look like? When they do express interest, how am I getting them, nurturing them to a point where they want to buy? Okay. That is a marketing plan. Is that written down? Is it run by someone? Is it optimized, daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly? This is a marketing plan. And so when we talk about a business operating system, a marketing plan is a piece of a business operating system. The same goes for sales. Okay. Do you have a sales process, or do you just show up with a notebook, say, yeah, looks like you got some bad shingles. We can fix it. I think about, I don't know, $12,000. That work for you? Right? Not the way that you should be selling, by the way. We talk about margins. We talk about job costing. We talk about what is the pre, during, and post conversation that you have with a potential prospect, right? What does your follow-up process look like, right? All of that is part of your sales process. Same thing when it comes to running your job. If project management is a foreign language to you, first of all, shame on you. Second of all, that's a problem, okay? You should be running your jobs the same every single time. Again, we're not going to get into details of that in this conversation, but do you understand what I'm saying? Everything gets run the same every single time. What makes these entities, these large entities, football teams and rugby teams and, AT&T and Motorola and Coke and Nike, what makes them so valuable? Yes, it's their market share and their market cap and whatnot, but it's really the ability of the business to be sold from one entity to another and things to just continue functioning the exact same way, right? So when we're talking about a business operating system, we're talking about a business that runs the same every single day. You wake up, you turn on the lights, everything functions the same. You turn off the lights, go home, everything's the same. Number 2, the second thing that we look at is the management team. Now, think about this. If you were to go on vacation, I'm going to give you a free 2-week vacation to Hawaii, right? You and your spouse, all expenses paid. You get to go to Hawaii, but you got to leave tomorrow. How many of you guys could leave tomorrow, knowing that the business would run by itself? To take it a step further, how many of you could leave tomorrow with no cell phone, no computer, and no mode of communication and still come back and the business hasn't burned to the ground? It's called the 2-week test, right? And if you can't pass the 2-week test, well, there's a good place to start, okay? So the 2-week test is testing the ability of your company to run without you. I have a client that I work with, and he went on vacation for 10 days. When he lives in Idaho, he went down to Arizona and was enjoying the sunshine with his family. It's great. Came back. He'd lost a $1.4 million project. Lost the project. Okay. His general manager in grooming had 2 blowups with employees, threatened to fight them. And he came back to complete chaos. He does not have, or he should say, he did not pass the 2-week test. Now he's in the process of putting in his management team, and he's fully aware of that, but he does not have a fully functioning management team. Now, why do you need a management team? Here's why. When you go to sell your business, they're not buying you. They're buying your business. And the worst thing to do is try and sell a business with you attached to it. By the way, this does happen. But imagine this. You sell the business, somebody else is in control. But number 1, you don't get all your money right away. Number 2, you now have to answer to somebody else for the next 18 to 24, maybe even 36 months, while you prove that the business is profitable and can run to the level that they expect it to run to. Nobody wants that. When I cash out, I want to cash out. I'm riding off into the sunset, right? So the 2-week test, the second thing, again, that private equity looks for when purchasing a company is a management team. Number 3, the all-important cash flow. I was talking to a contractor the other day. He does concrete. He's from Samoa. Great guy. Just super happy, big dude. When he hugs you, you like disappear. Great guy. So we're talking the other day, and he's like, "Hey man, I don't know what's going on." I was like, "Talk to me." He's like, "We're doing pretty good. We did about 500,000 last year." He goes, "But I don't have 500,000 in my bank account." And I said, "No, you don't." And we talked more specifically. I won't share his numbers, but I said, "Do you know what your margins are?" And he's like, "What are margins?" There's a problem, right? Revenue is vanity, profit is sanity, cash is king. At the end of the day, the only thing that matters is the cash that's left over. You need to know your cash flow. You need to have positive cash flow. When you sell your business, the biggest driver of what it is that you're going to be paid for your business is your cash flow. Okay. Private equity is looking for something called EBITDA. It's a very fancy word, or actually acronym. It stands for earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, amortization. Google it if you want to learn more. But what they're looking for is the company actually profitable. Okay. Because there's two drivers that are going to drive the valuation of your company. Number one is profitability, and number two is what we call the multiple. Okay. And the more you have these things running by themselves, your operating system, your cash flow, your management team, and then this last piece, the greater your company is going to sell for. Okay. So cash flow. If you don't understand cash flow, learn. There's a great book out there called Profit First for Contractors. Now, it's a little hard to get through. It's written by an accountant, basically, for accountants. It's really in depth. But if you don't want to read it, go find an accountant who understands profit first and can teach you how to do that. If you don't understand job costing, you need to figure it out quickly. Job costing is making sure that whatever you're bidding on, not only are you after winning that bid, but you want to know that if you win the bid, you're going to make money. There's nothing worse than bidding on a job and knowing you are not making money. And that's not why you're in business. And ultimately, you're not going to be able to sell a business if you're not making money. The fourth piece of this, the first three are the most important, but the fourth piece also matters, is the potential for growth. The potential for growth, right? So think about this. If you're selling ice to an Eskimo, how many Eskimos are there? Like, there's not a lot, right? And then they're not all living in one place. So how are you getting ice to those Eskimos? Oh, wait, there's ice everywhere. You see what I mean? It's going to be difficult to grow an ice cube business for Eskimos. Now, I know it's a little bit of an extreme example there, but that's how I want you to think about it. Okay. What is the potential for growth in your market? Are you in an area that's oversaturated? Are you in an area where you're offering the same thing as hundreds of other people? Or have you crafted a unique selling proposition, a unique identity for your business where what you do becomes that much more valuable? The potential for growth will drive up your valuation, right? Think about this. You got, I forget the name of the coconut water company, Zoko. There's a Zuko company that was started. I can't remember his name right now, by an entrepreneur. He's a big time runner now, but he started this company, and he started it with the reason, hey, coconut water is healthy, or healthier than regular water. And it is. Well, when he got bought for two reasons. Okay. Number one was, here's a new angle on drinking something. Number two was the big bottler, Coca-Cola, who bought him, can now take that product or service and exponentially grow it because they have the distribution set up to be able to do that. Right. So it's another product to their lineup. It becomes super attractive. Okay. There's a huge potential for growth there. So I want you guys to think about this over the next couple of weeks, couple of months. Please don't take a couple of years, but I want you to start thinking about the exit, and what does the exit look like for you? Okay. If you are going to sell in the next few years, it's time to get rolling. If it's going to be 10, 15 years down the road, that's okay. It's still time to get rolling. You got more time, but imagine if you had a business that could run by itself in 5 years versus 15 years. What else would you be able to do? How much more could you enjoy your life? Again, to recap, private equity, if they're looking to buy a business, here's the things they're looking for. Number one is operating system. Okay. How does the business do business? Is it duplicatable? Because if it's duplicatable, it's scalable. Number two, does the business have a management team in place? The team can be sold. I'm not even sure what happened there. It's kind of crazy with those balloons. The team can be sold with the business. You can't. They're employees of the business. They'll continue on with the business. You cannot be sold with the business. So do you have a team in place that can manage the business without you, i.e., can you take a 2-week test, come back, and the business is running as good or better than it was before? Number 3, cash flow. Is the business profitable? And if so, how profitable is it? Can you track profitability? Are you bidding your jobs to make sure that every job is profitable, right? Cash flow, super important. And then the 4th one, potential for growth. Now, we're going to be sending out a little survey for each of you. It's called, well, I don't think it has a name, but we want to get your feedback, okay? Every week we're hitting a particular topic, but we want to know more from you. We want to know what it is that you want to hear about. We want to know what is it that you're struggling with in your business and how we can help you continue to grow. We dropped a form in the chat. You can go ahead and click that link. There's 3 questions inside of there. The questions are super simple, okay? When is the best day that works for you? Time of day, I should say. What time of day works best for you? So we can do this in the morning. We can do this in the evening. We do it in the middle of the day. But we want to do it at the time of day that works best for you. What are the topics that you like to talk about or that you want us to talk about? We're going to start bringing in some experts as well and have that conversation with these experts because we want to continue to add more value to you in your life. Number 3, would you like to be a live guest? Now, we would love to have you as a live guest. However, understand that we are looking for particular people as a live guest. We do want you to be at least 7 figures. The reason for that is we want you to share your journey, your thoughts, your knowledge, your how-to, your expertise, if you will, with the rest of the contractors that are a part of this community. But either way, remember, today is the day that you get to make a decision, and that is, how am I going to run my business? What am I doing today to grow the business? What am I doing today to eliminate myself from being Yeah, appreciate you guys being here, but it's time for you guys to get after it.
We're 100% funded by the crowd. That's right, Contractor Plus is funded and owned by the companies who use it and love it the most. Not too long ago, it was actually the law that you had to already be wealthy in order to invest in startups. But equity crowdfunding platforms like WeFunder stepped in to save the day. They've democratized investing for everyone. We are proudly raising on WeFunder right now, and you don't have to be a wealthy accredited investor to get in on the action. You can invest as little as $100. I'm inviting you to come join the crowd and check out Contractor Plus on WeFunder. Crowdfunding democratized, investing for everyone. Go to WeFunder.com/contractor.